When I was a student, it was back in 2004. I think me, Kate, and Doc remember 2004. The rest of you guys were too young, right, before memory started forming. But back then, school buses hadn't been invented yet, so we had to walk to school. It was uphill both ways. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The business was very different. The business was very different back in 2004. And Kayla kind of mentioned this, but when I started out, number one, I was a full-time college student. I was taking 15 to 18 credits every semester. I wasn't going to college in the town that I grew up in, and virtual demos didn't exist. Okay, it didn't exist. Literally, most of us had dial-up internet at that point. Or I think like the cheapest high-speed internet cost $100 because it was new. That's real life, man. So Skyping and FaceTime didn't exist. And so for me to be able to sell, number one, it wasn't just about managing my schedule, but it was also like I had to meet people and build a network in a new town. And if I didn't get referrals, I was screwed. It didn't help. I wasn't great at getting referrals. But now the business is so different. You guys have so many freaking opportunities, with the virtual demo. Raise your hand if you've ever made a sale on a virtual demo before. Cool, that's awesome. You can be honest, by the way. Raise your hand again if virtual demos are not your favorite thing. Cool, that's okay. That's okay. I'll tell you, for me personally, they're not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather go hang out with people and eat their food and pet their dog and then sell them stuff. But the virtual demo, it's a great opportunity. And if you're not making sales on it, you need to. You have to. If the virtual demo is not a part of your business, you're like a carpenter who refuses to use half the tools in your toolbox. You guys tracking with me? Right? You got to do virtuals, man. I use them all the time. If I have a gap in between my appointments, easy to fill. I have them, I map out my schedule per day, like what area I want to be in. So I've gotten my schedule for next week. Monday I'm going to be in Virginia. Tuesday I'm in Annapolis. Wednesday I'm in Upper Marlboro and Bowie. Thursday I forget where, but I put it, it's Montgomery County. So I just map out and book my demos based on the area. And if someone says, hey, can you come over on this day, and it's not my day to be in their town, I'll be like, I can do you virtually. And then I'll just pop by somewhere quiet and be able to do it. Does that make sense? Right? But I made $3,000 in sales on virtual demos just in the past 2 weeks alone. Doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Doesn't suck. By the way, 2 of those customers were in Atlanta. Would have never gotten a chance to see them when I was a college student, and yet they accounted for $1,400 of my sales. Didn't suck. And then the events team. Raise your hand if you're I guess over $10,000 so far, so you're eligible to start getting involved. Cool. If you're not familiar with the events team, it looks like a lot of you guys are, but the events team, you literally just set up a booth, and then people come up to you, and they're like, hey, can I buy knives? And you're like, I'll allow it. Right? It's pretty great. And most of you guys already know this, but if you're not at $10,000 yet, the first checkpoint is to get to $10,000 so that you can start your events training. Once you're at $20,000, you're eligible to work the booth and have people come up and say, hey, can I have permission to buy Cutco? And you're like, if you ask me tomorrow, the answer's probably no, but today, sure. Also, today will be special, so you're going to luck, right? But the events team is outstanding, especially for college students. Man, you can work for 2-3 days and make a full-time paycheck and not even have to drive around anywhere. It's pretty exciting, okay? And for me personally, I just worked my first event last weekend with me and Chris. He helped me out with my first one. I booked it, and then I was frantically like, hey, who can help me with this? Because I've never done it before. And Chris was like, I got you, fam. So we went. We each sold $2,000 just kind of hanging out together. It was great. Each. It's good. Okay, I got another one tomorrow, and then a couple more coming up. But there's so many opportunities. And I'll tell you this. All of you guys are in a spot where you have to sell some Cutco right now. Okay? In all honesty, I wanted this to be my title slide where it says complacency or comfort makes more prisoners than all the jails combined. Okay? Raise your hand, by the way, if this summer you made all the money you wanted to make. And by the way, some of you guys did. Like, some of you guys should raise your hand. Right? You set out at the beginning of summer, I want to make this much, and then you made it. Raise your hand if you made more than you expected to this summer. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's good. And if you made all the money that you planned on making, that's outstanding. You're just not done yet. Do you guys get that? And it's good. You're just not done yet. There are some of you guys, by the way, that need to make more money. I know there are some of you that have to pay your own college tuition or pay something for your car, or you got to make rent for next month or whatever it is. Some of you guys do need the money. And what I love about Vector and Cutco is that you can just turn it on. You can just turn it on at any point you make the decision. Okay? Even for me, I decided I wanted to sell some Cutco personally, so for the past couple of weeks, I haven't been running my office per se, just working with the team I've got and selling personally. And my first week, I sold about $3,000. My second week, I sold $8,495. You can just turn it on at any point you're ready to make the decision. Okay, love that. So if you're in a spot where you need money and you're worried about bills, you can do the thing. Okay, there are some of you guys that made all the money that you need, but I would say two things to you. Number one is if you're not in a spot yet where you could retire, right? Like you could literally not work another day for the rest of your life and live a lifestyle you're happy with. By the way, that is what financial freedom is. Okay, financial freedom isn't I've got a good job. Financial freedom is I could stop working today and still be set. Okay? If you're not there yet, and I don't know if any of us in the room are yet, that's okay. But don't let comfort be the thing that puts you in a jail cell. Keep going. Keep going. Keep pushing. Even if you're only pushing for the push weeks, keep it moving. There's some other reasons that you guys want to sell some Cutco. For our senior candidates, those of you who have run a branch already, raise your hand if you ran a branch. And keep your hand up, and everybody else look around the room. Keep your hand up if you wish you had more money in your startup savings before you opened up this summer. Yeah, that's 100%. That's 100%. Right? I've never seen a candidate say, man, I really regret saving so much money. I really should have bought more shoes. Would have been a better life decision. Right? But every candidate, every year says, no matter how much money they have, by the way, when I opened up, I had 10 grand. And I still was like, man, I wish I had more money saved. Right? Startup is a big one. I was talking to Kate about this, and she said, some of our candidates have enough money set aside that they're good on their personal expenses, they're good on startup, at least for the current checkpoints. The next step is, hey, can we get some people to max out their Roth IRA? And I'll admit to you, I wasn't even thinking about that, so I'm glad Kate brought it up. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the concept of a Roth IRA. Cool. When we get into some Dave Ramsey financial stuff, he's going to get into a lot. I'm not a financial advisor, so before you make any investments, get professional advice from a financial advisor. But I will tell you, my wife and I have maxed out a Roth IRA for the past 6 years. We just celebrated 7, so for 6 years we've maxed out a Roth. What it does is it lets you put up to $5,500 away, no tax whatsoever, until you're 65 and a half years old. Okay, it grows tax-free. It's better than a 401k. It's better than investing in the stock market and doing like daily trades or whatever because you don't pay any taxes. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't explain it well, but you want that in your life. That I do know. Okay, but investing for your retirement, especially when you're young. I'm not giving a financial message right now, but man, especially when you're young, you get compound interest. It's amazing. Also, there's a thing coming up in the December time. What do you guys all need money for? Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate, but all the winter holidays, right? Dave Ramsey has a funny thing that he talks about when my wife and I did financial coaching with him. He says, so many people go into debt at Christmas time. It's like you didn't know. It falls on the same date every single year. You just didn't think about it until Black Friday. Right? But if you start saving up now, you can be able to get all the presents you want to get, including the 1 or 2 for yourself that you need, right? And not go into debt over it if you just plan for it. It's, by the way, if you celebrate Christmas, it's December 25th this year. And then one of the big ones for the new candidates and the senior candidates alike is make a statement. Okay, some of you guys have heard these before, but talk is talk. CPO talks. Right? Some of you guys have heard this one. I can't hear what you're saying until what? Until I see what you're selling. Some of you guys just want to make a statement. Some of you guys, we know that you were really good at selling Cutco in 2017. Some of you guys, we knew you were good at selling Cutco in January, but we're wondering if you still got it, if you still remember how. Make a statement, man. It's coming. By the way, you guys, most of you guys are aware of this, but on September 10th, and if you want to write down the date, September 10th, we start the SLC push. It's the only national sales contest of the entire year. If you want to make a statement, by the way, I know that not all of you guys are college students. If you're not a college student, get after it and just do SC2 over again. If you are a college student, you got 3 weekends. It goes September 10th to September 30th, and you got 3 weekends to get this done. Okay? I'm going to actually ask, where'd my handouts go? If I can get the candidates at this table to help pass out the handouts. Here's a document that's going to come around, the white one, where you can sit down with your manager and map out your push goals. And then for the SLC push itself, we have 2 different sales contests. Leah, if you can help me with the green one. This is a region contest. And then Elijah, thank you, if you can help out with the black and white one. There's a national contest. What's really cool is prizes start at only $1,500. Prizes start at only $1,500. If you got 3 weekends, that's $500 a week, 3 weeks. It's about 1 order. Right, approximately 1 order a week, maybe 2. Thank you. Prizes start there and they go on up. It's super exciting. So here's the last thing I want to run through with you guys, and this is the only thing I'm going to ask you to take some notes on, is I just want to walk you through a couple of nuts and bolts of how to execute the plan. Because I know it's not easy. In fact, I know it's not easy because I've been doing it, right? I had to start out from scratch, come up with my names list, make the phone calls, do the demos, have the cancellations, all the things. I'm living it myself, which is why I was asked to give you the message. But I want to show you how to do this specifically for the college students because I know all the things you battle. Okay, I even had one representative come up to me at the beginning of the semester, and what she said was, man, I'm so overwhelmed, I have so much going on, maybe I just need to take a break from selling. And I think my response was to laugh at her. I think I laughed at her, and I was like, let me show you how much time you have. Okay, so this document, I'm going to hand it out at the very end so it doesn't distract you, but I've got that written up for you. But let me show you, oh, what have I done? Kayla, can you just hit the play for me? I didn't mean to hit that button. All right, so I want to show you how to manage the schedule around school. This is the only thing I'm going to ask you to take notes on. But if you're a full-time student, you're taking between 12 and 18 credits for the semester, and you've got 1 or 2 extracurriculars. That could be a sport, that could be a fraternity or sorority, could be a club that you're the president or the treasurer of, could be anything. But if that's your schedule, then what we would expect is that you're putting in about 5 to 10 appointments a week, and they can be mainly on the weekend. Which, by the way, you could do that in 1 day. You can do that in 1 day. And that you're producing between $500 to $1,000 in CPO per week, which we all know you could do on 1 appointment. But if you want to do it consistently and not just gamble on getting big orders all the time, it takes more than 1 appointment, yeah? So let me show you how the hours break down. You've got 168 hours in the week. If you're spending between 10 and 15 hours physically in class, most of you guys know the formula. You're expected to spend 2 hours of study time for every hour in class. Just curious, though, raise your hand if you do that. Like, who actually, really? Wow. I'm surprised anybody raised their hand. That's awesome. Kudos to you guys. I definitely did not when I was in school. Yeah, all right. But if you're doing that, so you're spending your 10 to 15 hours in class, you're spending 20 to 30 hours on study time outside of class, you're putting in 12 to 20 hours at Vector. That includes meetings and phone jams, plus it includes Leadership Academy, and then driving to appointments or whatever you got to do, right? I put if you get 10 hours of sleep per night, which I know some of you guys actually, that is what you execute. You execute that schedule religiously. I know, everybody who's not executing it, you're like, I wish that was my life. Let's say you get 10 hours of sleep at night. That still gives you, it got cut off on the slide, whoops, but it gives you between 28 and 41 hours. It's 28, not 8. 28 and 41 hours of chilling. Do you know how much Call of Duty you can play in 28 to 41 hours? If that's a thing people still do. You could go out with your friends, you can watch movies, you can just hang out in your room and do nothing. Doesn't matter. Bless you. It's very exciting, I know. But here's the thing. Courtney gave the time management message. What most people fail with is not that they don't have enough hours. They fail with their plan. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is sit down with your manager and say, all right, I got 168 hours. Like Courtney said, I want to have my cake and eat it, and maybe even own the bakery and eat all the cakes, right? So sit down with your manager to map out a plan so that you can be excellent in school, be excellent in your extracurriculars, be excellent in your work at every single level. You don't just have to pick one and let everything else fall to the side. Okay? And then you got to have a couple habits in place. Okay, there's 3 fundamentals I think about when it comes to selling consistently in the fall. Number 1 is you got to have a names list. Okay, you got to update your names list. I update mine every single week on Saturday, where you're getting fresh people on there. You're taking people that have said no off of there. You're adding to it. Okay, but you got to have your names list. Number 2 is you got to make a commitment to phone calls. Okay, when I was in rugby, I'll tell you, my rugby team hated this. Hated this. But we had practice every Tuesday and Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m. My office, back when I was a college student, we did team meetings on Wednesday night. So my goal always was to go into the office on Wednesday and book all of my appointments for the weekend so that I wouldn't have to worry about it and I could just do rugby stuff. But I had an agreement with my manager because I needed the money to pay for school stuff. So I had an agreement with my manager that if I did not book all of my appointments on Wednesday, I would get it done on Thursday on my own. And there were 2 times. Only 2 for the whole season, but I practiced with my team for the first hour of practice, and then I went and sat on the bleachers and I made phone calls while the rest of my team practiced. Now, you know rugby guys, they were pretty vocal about how much they didn't like me doing that and the things that they called me. But I told them, I said, hey guys, I'm not getting paid to play rugby. I wish I was, but I'm not, so I need to work. I need to do this, right? And I got it done. You're going to have people tell you to slow down or take time off or take it easy or, whatever. And you just got to tell them, like, hey, my goal is big enough that I'm going to do what it takes to hit it and do the other stuff, but not one or the other. I'm going to own the bakery. You guys tracking with me? So the first thing is you got to have a plan with your manager. Second thing is you got to commit to getting enough people on your list to book your appointments. And the third thing is you got to commit to the phone calls. After that, Cutco sells Cutco. The paychecks are good. You win the SLC push, and we'll see you in the Bahamas and or the next trip.